Okay. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to a regular council meeting on May 27th, 2025. I'm calling the meeting to order at 6:35 p.m. I'll be chairing again this evening. Mayor Peckford is joining us virtually from Halifax. She's away this week in her capacity with a national not-for-profit supporting federal safety and justice employees. Before we begin, I'll read the land acknowledgement. The municipality of North Grenville acknowledges that the municipality operates on the territory of the Anishinaabeg. We recognize all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples who now call North Grenville their home. We respect and support the need for cultivating a strong relationship, and we commit to Indigenous-informed decision-making to foster the path towards reconciliation. So tonight is a special one as we mark the retirement of our long-serving Director of Parks, Rec and Culture, Mark Guy. He's here for his final council meeting. No champagne corks popping yet, Mark. On behalf of council, staff, and residents, thank you, Mark, so much for your outstanding service to the community. We've got Mayor Peckford online. Oh, that's a great background. And I think she wants to say a few words. Go ahead, Mayor Peckford.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Am I too loud?
You're good.
Okay, thanks. So certainly, of course, Mark, I would have loved to have been there today and also tomorrow. I understand you're having a fairly casual, but still a significant event to mark your tenure with North Grenville. So I know some of my colleagues will add into what I have to say. But I just wanted to read something that I had prepared because I won't have that opportunity to do it tomorrow. So, dear Mark, as you prepare to wrap up your time as Director of Parks, Rec and Culture, I wanted to extend my heartfelt thanks to you, not only on behalf of Council and the municipality, but also personally for your years of dedicated service to North Grenville. I moved to North Grenville just around the time that you had assumed your position. I think we both remember well an early conversation we would have had about a potential splash pad in Riverside Park. My son, William, who is now 13, was just an infant, and I was a very new resident in town. But you took the time to meet with me and some other parents of young kids. I could see that a splash pad wasn't necessarily on the municipal radar at that moment, but you were definitely open to a conversation. Fast forward several years later, and perhaps surprising to both of us, I was elected as mayor. Before long, we were embarking upon a Parks and Rec master plan, something that you embraced with open arms. It was a robust process and was the first time North Grenville had developed such a plan. The myriad of stakeholders, user groups, and passionate residents were clearly evident, and they had a lot to say about the future of recreation in North Grenville. I think that master plan is certainly something of which we can all be proud. Fast forward to the onset of the pandemic, something no one saw coming, and most of our indoor facilities ground to a halt. Within months, however, the appetite for people to be active outdoors, enjoying North Grenville's parks, trails, fields, and docks surged. Parks and Rec stepped up once again to ensure we could meet the demand of local residents and visitors and keep everyone safe and active. From that pandemic-related experience, the idea to compete for Canada's most active community under the banner of participation was born. Within a matter of weeks in the spring of 2021, North Grenville residents and staff rallied as we developed remarkable momentum in our desire to win $100,000 and the national title. Ultimately, we were unstoppable and unbeatable, not just winning the national title in 2021, but the provincial title in 2022 and 2023. Then there was the idea to flood Curry Park during the winter months. You will likely remember, after an initial flurry of volunteers braving that first very cold winter, Parks and Rec decided they could take it on. While the weather didn't cooperate in 2024, it's been a point of pride to have our own Kemptville Skateway, and the compliments we get about the amazing job Parks and Rec staff do under your watch never end. And amidst all of this and so much more, parks were revitalized, play structures were replaced, multi-use pathways were built, theater AV and lighting was upgraded. And now, as you know, North Grenville is proud to have 2 fully functioning outdoor rinks and 2 splash pads. There is no doubt that under your leadership, which has been steadfast, thoughtful, and collaborative, you have transformed many of our recreational spaces and the daily lives of so many residents. From Riverside Park to rural ball diamonds, from our arenas to inclusive playgrounds, your legacy is all around us and will continue to be for years, even generations to come. Mark, I have to say, you have been unflappable amid so many challenges, and you've still gotten the job done. You've built a great team in Parks and Rec, and it shows. They love their jobs and are wholly dedicated to improving the quality of life of residents. It's been wonderful to have the opportunity to collaborate with you, not just as a mom, but as a mayor. Little did either of us know in 2013 how much we would work together just 5 years later. As you head into retirement, I hope you get to rest and revel in what you've accomplished. You've left North Grenville better than you found it by far, and that is no small thing. Wishing you a well-deserved reprieve, lots of adventures, and time with those you love most. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Mayor Peckford. You mentioned that Mark was here during our award as the most active community, but he's also survived one of the most active councils I think this community's seen, and he's lived to tell the tale. I know that maybe I'll leave it to Councillor O'Sullivan to talk about the arena seats and railings, but as well as everything that the mayor's mentioned, I did want to also thank you for your stewardship in terms of getting the Blake Williamson Memorial Hall upgraded, and it continues to be upgraded, and the Oxford Mills former Township Hall. It's great to see that project moving forward, and it's due to your initiative and steadfastness with council talking about that project, or maybe one councillor talking about that project. I'm not sure that we're making progress on that. So, so thank you very much personally, Mark. It's been great working with you, and I wish you all the best in retirement. And maybe evenings like this, you can be on the golf course rather than sitting around here. I'm open to anyone else wanting to share things. Councillor O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you, Mark, and Joe as well, who sat in on some meetings too and helped for sure get things done, but particularly Mark, who had to reel me in a few times when I got too enthusiastic, and I was, like, as Deputy Mayor has called us, a council in a hurry, and sometimes I liked things to be done stat. Anyway, so we also have, as everything that Mayor Peckford mentioned, but we also have more trails in the campus and more multi-use paths, the pump track at Riverside Park. One of the first things was the railings along the creek at Rotary Park back in 2019, I think, and railings in the arena. All of these came with challenges, and Mark had to rein me in sometimes and explain things to me about how it impacted other departments, and he was very patient. And now Doreen. So I really appreciated that. And the arena seats, more than half are sold out. That's amazing. That's awesome. Bike racks and park benches and a lot of things that we've got done that I think have already been mentioned. So thank you very much for everything that you managed to accomplish for us. Okay, thanks.
Got a whole bunch of other opening remarks, and there's more to come, Mark, I guess, on Thursday afternoon. I look forward to that. You may notice some new faces in town this week. We're thrilled to welcome guests of the Ontario Woodlot Association and the Eastern Ontario Model Forest, who are gathering in North Grenville this week, along with the International Model Forest Network. All of these groups have chosen North Grenville to host a global forum, attracting hundreds of visitors from around the world representing 60 model forests from over 30 countries. We're excited to have you and hope you enjoy your time in our community. Looking ahead, this Thursday, May 29th, Fat Less's Chip Truck celebrates its grand opening at a new location on County Road 44, the former Class Axe location. The event lasts from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m., with proceeds from sales going to support Beth Donovan Hospice. Also Thursday in the afternoon, Oxford-on-Rideau Public School will celebrate an incredible 60 years of education and community. Congratulations to all past and present staff, students, and families. And a special thanks to Mayor Peckford and Trustee Lisa Swan and MPP Steve Clark for their initiative in getting that school off the closure list and making it possible for them to celebrate 60 years of educating young people in Oxford Mills and North Grenville, the greater North Grenville. On Sunday, June 1st, starting at 10:30 a.m., we invite everyone to come downtown for the North Grenville Pride Parade and after party. It promises to be a fun, family-friendly celebration of inclusion and diversity. As part of its 90th anniversary celebrations, the Rotary Club of Kemptville has generously donated $32,000 toward a new accessible floating dock and kayak launch at Curry Park. And I understand it will be installed or is installed before June 4th? Because on June 4th, we'll be celebrating its unveiling at a ribbon-cutting ceremony at 6:30 p.m. And finally, on Friday, June 6th and Saturday, June 7th, we welcome back Heyday, one of our community's most cherished fundraising events in support of the Kemptville District Hospital Auxiliary. So don't miss it. So thanks for being here or watching us live or later on. We'll continue with the agenda now. We're going to the adoption of the agenda. There's a lot on the agenda, including a lot on the consent agenda. So hopefully everyone's had a chance to look at it, and I'd be looking for someone to move the adoption of the agenda and someone to second it. Councillor Wilson and Councillor O'Sullivan. Thank you. So now I'll remember this important part. I'll call the vote, or if there's any discussion on the agenda, we discuss it before we vote. Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that's carried. There we go. One for the history books. Next on the agenda is declarations of pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest from members of council? Nope. So seeing none, we'll move on to deputations. So tonight we have a deputation from NG Pride. Diane Dewing but you're also presenting on behalf of the Rainbow Youth Alliance. Is that correct, Diane? Come on down. Wonderful.
Thank you very much, Council, for inviting us here. And I bring good greetings and also some apologies from my partner, Mel, who is recovering from quite a serious illness. And as difficult as it is to keep Mel in check, we did manage to keep her mostly in bed today. I do want to start by saying thank you to this council and to this town that has really moved mountains in moving diversity forward over the past few years. This is about more than raising a flag. That's what we're going to do. But really what it is a message to the community of acceptance, of diversity, and of inclusion and integration. Integration being the greatest of them all. So thank you for letting us do that. I have to say I was contacted today by Inside Ottawa, who is doing a special on businesses throughout the area that are LGBTQ friendly. In less than 5 minutes, we came up with over 30 businesses, and I know we're going to come up with a whole lot more. That tells you a great deal about how far this community has come since I moved here over 30 years ago. So if we move that slide, I do want to press forward and say thank you, thank you, thank you to all the people who work with Rainbow Youth Alliance. We are very, very much tied together now, the way it should always have been, understanding that youth grow into adults. And adults have children, and there should be a natural flow back and forth and an integration with our programs. And this experience of putting Pride together has been beyond my greatest wishes. So I do thank them. In this year, we will have an enhanced children's area, and we have arranged for more tables for families. That's important to us, that this remains a family-friendly event. Hillary? Of course, the parade itself will have its usual components of sound and sight and glitter and rainbows. And the after party, even better. We have well over 30 vendors and a number of new people who have stepped forward that I find quite exciting. One of them being the OPP, who is setting up a booth trying to recruit from the 2S LGBTQ plus community. And that, again, is a strong indication of how far we are moving forward toward integration in our communities. So throughout the month, we have a number of activities. Now, these dates are wrong, I know that, but I submitted it a week and a half ago, so I beg your pardon. On the June 2nd, there will be flag raisings here and in the hospital. The night before is the drag bingo, and there are 2 events, one for families and one for adults only. Our Pride Parade and After Party is looking to be such a wonderful event. I think even if it poured rain, there still would be sunshines, rainbows, and unicorns. We hope to launch the Great Community Chalk Challenge, where small teams of citizens and youths will get together to draw messages of hope, inclusion, integration, joy, all the things that we stand for in Pride. They'll take a picture, send it in, and we'll put together some judges. We've talked to the BIA about this. We've talked to Tammy here at the council about at the offices about this, and I think it's going to come off really well. Something that people of any age can become involved in. And then our program called We All Belong, which was funded by Women and Gender Equity Canada, which seeks to explore the myths that exist about LGBTQ plus people, and also to educate us all in how to move forward in building communities full of the integration. So there you are. That's all there is. And of course, it wouldn't be Pride if I didn't bring color and glitter.
Great. Thank you very much, Diane. And I'd just like to say that both you and Mel have been great advocates for the community. And I think the community has come a long way in its understanding and in its embrace of the queer community. Part of my journey has been to understand that it's not enough just to declare that you're an ally, that you have to earn that. You can't just sort of put on a button and say you're an ally. You have to continue your education and understanding. I wondered if you could comment on some of the things that people who would like to consider themselves allies, what they can do to support the community.
Allies look after the people in their communities. So when you see someone being stressed, you step forward and you help them find resources. Sometimes it's enough just to listen, but a lot of times an allyship means action. It means something needs to be reported. It means that you need to link people with other people who can help them. And it's also about understanding what that particular person's needs are and not making assumptions. The needs of someone who is an elder within the community are very different than the needs of young people in the community. So I would say that we're moving along in that direction. It makes me very happy. There are still times when I have heard of elders who have been abused and called filthy names, and no one has intervened. But it is becoming less of I'll tell you a very small thing. I have so few trolls now. 5 years ago, the trolls were constant. I had a protocol with how to deal with them. Very seldom now. So are they still there? Probably, but they're not actively hateful. It's movement. It's not perfect, but it's movement.
Great, movement in the right direction. Great. Would anyone else like to comment or ask a question of Diane before we move on? No? Thank you so much. Yes, go ahead, Councillor O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I just hope that Diane, and thank you, Diane, for this presentation. I hope you will explain a little bit about the quilt. Please.
So a very strong ally within our community has been thinking for a long time about an action that she could do, a gift to the whole community of how much she loves the diversity that she sees around her. And so she has been working for a few years now on this quilt. And those who know me know quilts are near and dear to my heart, as they are yours. And she had just finished it last week and handed it over. And, you know, she's still young. And Tracy thought we could put it up for raffle starting at Pride. Well, raffle has a process. So I think we'll show it at Pride, but I think we'll draw the ticket for it at our annual general meeting at the end of August. So expect to see this beautiful queen size Pride colored quilt making the rounds in our community. It's beautifully done, and I hope I hope the person who gets it cherishes it.
Thank you very much. We do have a resolution to pass, so I'll read it now and look for a mover and a seconder. So, whereas the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms recognizes sexual identity and sexual orientation as human rights issues, whereas the 2S LGBTQIA+ community is growing in the municipality of North Grenville, and whereas on May 19th, 2020, the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of North Grenville established the month of June in perpetuity as 2S LGBTQIA+ Pride Month in the Municipality of North Grenville. Now therefore be it resolved that Council directs staff to fly the Pride Progress flag on the courtesy flagpole for the month of June 2025 as per bylaw 06-22 to govern municipal flags. That a formal flag raising per the same bylaw 06-22 shall be held on June 2nd, 2025 at 11 a.m. at the Municipal Centre. So I'd be looking for a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor O'Sullivan, Councillor Strakian, thank you very much. And any discussion or debate on that resolution? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All in favor? Aye. There we go. Thank you very much, Diane. And give our best wishes to Mel when you see her, or Okay, thank you. Moving on, we're on to the consent agenda. You can see, council, that there's a number of items on the consent agenda relating to tax and reduction of license fees. We've got annual wastewater sanitary collection system performance report. It's always a crowd pleaser. The semi-annual wastewater update for Q3 and Q4. A rink brine distribution system replacement. Some AV upgrades here. Local board meetings and the BIA levy rate. So is there anything on the consent agenda that a council member would like to remove and we'll deal with it as part of the agenda? Yes, go ahead. Councillor Starkian.
Thank you to you, Mr. Chair. I never know what to call you. I'm sorry, Deputy Mayor. The items on G3 and G4, the 2024 annual wastewater and sanitary collection system performance report and the 2024 semi-annual water wastewater update Q3, Q4. I'd like to have both of those moved on to the regular agenda, please.
Great. So Director Finley's here for a reason. Yes, Councillor O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And if I could please have the tax rate bylaw pulled as well, just have a brief comment question.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Well, we'll deal with that when we get to it. Great. So we deal with that, Ms. Chenot, when it comes up on the agenda later. Is that correct, or?
But they are on the consent agenda, so they'd be done before the regular items, or we could do them at the end of the regular items.
Okay, so we got tax. We don't have anyone.
Yeah, but we could do it in order.
Let's put them at the end of the regular items, okay? So that means we're moving on to H, reports. Oh, we have to pass the consent agenda. Where is that here? Okay, so I'm looking for someone to move and second the consent agenda, except for the first item, tax rate bylaw 2025, and the two, the annual wastewater sanitary collection system performance report and the semi-annual water wastewater update Q3, Q4. So those three items we'll deal with. Everything else on the consent agenda we'll approve now, if I can get a mover and a seconder. Councillor Wilson and Councillor Stracher-Yan, thank you very much. So anything else? Is that the extent of it? So I'll call the vote. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. There we go. I'll sort that out later. Yes. Yes. Okay. Great. So the next item on the agenda, if we're going to deal with those items later, we'll be getting into reports then. And the first report I have is on the Arena Ice Water Treatment System. And who are we getting that report from? Joe, Mr. Peshnik.
Good evening.
Deputy Director of Parks, Rec and Culture. No? Manager of Parks, Rec and Culture. I'm sorry. This is the second time I've screwed that up. Oh, geez. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. More than capable to deliver the report, no matter what we call you, Joe. So go ahead.
Good evening, members of council. The report before you tonight is for the supply of an Arena Ice Water reverse osmosis system for the North Grenville Municipal Center. The North Grenville Municipal Center operates a twin pad arena facility that currently utilizes the source water for its operation from the municipal supply. The water treatment processes are utilized throughout the facility to maintain operational processes. Arena Ice has been untreated source water to date. The inception of this project was intended to help prolong essential equipment service life, such as the new Zamboni we purchased last year, and other operational assets pertaining to the maintenance of Arena Ice. The end of deliverables of this project will also yield better ice quality for users, allow staff to manage water consumption during the ice management process, and reduce the overall utility costs for the arena operations. Based on preliminary budget figures, staff directed the RFP to 3 firms specializing in commercial water reverse osmosis treatment systems. Only one proposal was received from Jet Ice. Staff reviewed the proposal at length, negotiated terms, scope changes that brought the project within budget parameters. The overall project deliverables remain the same within the negotiation process. Jet Ice's original proposal was received over budget at $69,400 plus HST. Staff reviewed the scope of work and negotiated the scope changes to bring the project within budget at a cost for $53,900. The remaining budget allocation will be used by staff to upfit the site for this new system. I would be happy to answer any questions on this report.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Peshnik. I have one question. I understand from your report that prior to acquiring this system, we had untreated water, and that wasn't contributing to the longevity of the ice or the equipment. Do you have any idea of what kind of savings that we might be incurring over time having this new reverse osmosis process?
Thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor.
Yeah.
So initially, the lifespan of our ice resurfacing equipment will be prolonged because the hard water scaling throughout the process. So that's going to be a win. Utility costs over the life cycle of this will be able to raise our ice temperatures. That yields utility savings. Just with the lower mineral content within the water through this treatment process allows us to run with a higher ice temperature but yield the same quality of ice. So there's the utility cost plus the equipment that maintains the ice will have longer lifespans on it.
Okay, great. So this is a real preventative measure in terms of extending the life of equipment and getting more usefulness out of the ice that we do have.
Yep, that's correct.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. I'm sure you could have said that better. Okay. Are there any other questions for Mr. Peshnik? Yes, Councillor Wilson.
To you, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, to Mr. Peshnik. So this is only pertaining to the ice surfaces and the water going to the ice, nothing to do with the showers, the washrooms, or any of the other parts of the facility, correct?
Through you, Deputy Mayor, that's correct. This is just for the treatment of ice for the arena ice, for flooding the ice.
Any other questions or comments? No? Okay. Well, we have a motion that reads as follows, that council approve awarding project PRC 25-16 regarding the North Grenville Municipal Center Arena Ice Reverse Osmosis Water Treatment System to Jet Ice in the amount of $53,900. So I'll be looking for a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor O'Sullivan and seconded by Councillor Wilson. Great. Any discussion or comment on this motion? Okay, I'll be looking for a vote. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. All right, we're cooking with gas here. The next item, next report we have is regarding the municipal well assumption at Oxford Village subdivision. And is this coming from Mr. Finlay? Thank you. So go ahead with your report. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy. The report we have for council tonight is in regard to assumption of the Oxford Village well into the municipal infrastructure system for the conditions of the front-ending agreement with LA Developments Incorporated. So if we can go to the next slide, please. So what we have in the attached map identifies the Oxford Village development and then highlights an area where the municipal well has been constructed inside the development. It is block 120. So it's highlighted, a little tough to see, but highlighted in red, kind of on the main plan. And then in the bottom corner, left-hand corner shows a bit of a site plan of the well. So construction included the new well, the pump house, a new reservoir, all the pipe works, electrical and mechanical equipment that is needed to support this system, a new access road from the main development road to the pump house, including drainage and grading that was required. There was included a new rain garden along this access road. Underneath the access road is a new water main to pump from the well system or pump house to the distribution system, a force main for treatment there, and electrical conduits. The site plan also did include lighting for the site as well. The front-ending agreement that was entered between the municipality of North Grenville and LA Developments back in 2023, the developer front-ended the cost for the design and construction of this well. It is the intent of this well to help with the development within the full northwest quadrant of their service area. The station was placed online and connected to our municipal drinking water system in December of 2023. And since that time, the developer has worked to meet all remaining conditions that were required under the front-ending agreement. So based on this, the report we have for council is to identify that all the works have been constructed, installed to municipal specifications. All accounts have been reconciled, and it's our recommendation that council approve the assumption of this asset for us to move forward with. I'm happy to answer any questions council may have.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Findlay. I have one question before I turn it over to the rest of the council. Like, I'm familiar with assumption of road infrastructure. We usually wait a year. Is there the same amount of time that we wait before we assume an infrastructure like a water well?
Thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor, and that is correct. That's why once it was placed online in 2023, there was a one-year warranty period, so that took us to 2024, where we tested the system, went through it to ensure all the bugs were worked out, any deficiencies were corrected, and that got us to 2024. And between 2024 and now, just look to correct any of those minor deficiencies and kind of get the paperwork in order to make sure everything lined up with the front-end agreement. So yes, we did have that time before we made the recommendation.
Great, thank you. I do have another question, and that is, what's the capacity of this well? And I understand it's the developer who built it. How is that organized, or how is that paid for in terms of credits, DC credits? Because I imagine the cost of the well was significant, probably more than the DCs for the homes currently being built. So maybe you could just walk us through, for the sake of the public, how it's financed, how the developer is compensated.
Absolutely. Thank you for the question. So the intent of this well and the original studies back in or through our 2015 servicing master plan identified a well in this northwest quadrant area. So that would be west of County Road 44, mainly north of County Road 43, but along just a little bit west of Somerville Road as well. So it took that whole area into account of a rough idea of the type of development and housing that could be developed in the area, what those needs would be based on average day and peak day flows for that area. And the size of the well was developed based on that criteria. As part of what LA Developments was required to do, was an environmental assessment to, again, further refine the needs and the design of the well. So it is for what we look at as the northwest quadrant of the development area, and the well is identified to service that area. The way the front-ending agreement identifies this is because the developer did front-end the cost for this. It was total eligible costs were just under $5.5 million. So were credits identified through development charges that either through this development and developments identified in that area as we collect for the water treatment portion of development charges, that would go back to pay off those costs that the developer upfronted and that we agreed were eligible.
So the LA group developments earn or get compensated through the water, wastewater development charges that they'd be incurring normally. But my understanding is that the cost of the well is much greater than the potential DC credits that they might earn. What happens for the rest of the cost? How does that work?
So thank you for the question. So what happens is, again, we look at that whole area. So as we collect development charges from other builders, that water component would be taken from them to pay back what is above and beyond that developer's credit. So it's for other developers in the area would help because they gain the benefit of that well. They will pay that back through development charges.
Any other questions or? Yes, Councillor O'Sullivan.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you to Mr. Finley. So approximately how many homes would this well service?
Thank you for the question through you, Deputy Mayor. I don't have the number right in front of me, but I can get back to you. Again, it was looking at the whole northwest quadrant.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And then when you mentioned northwest quadrant, what about the proposed development that's south of 43? Thinking Kempville Lifestyles and then the land at the corner of Somerville and 43 that's on the south side of 43. Is that well, can that well service that land as well?
Thank you for the question through you, Deputy Mayor. Yes, that is correct. The collection area did look at the Kempville Lifestyle development and kind of that western area below County Road 43.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And so those developers that will tap into that well, they would pay back, they would pay for their use or their portion of the cost through development charges, not to the firm or the developer that upfronted it.
So thank you for the question through you, Deputy Mayor. So what typically happens is the developer would pay development charges to the municipality as outlined in our DC bylaw. And then through the front-ending agreement, we take a water component from that. If it's eligible through the agreement, then we refund that to the LA development group that did upfront the well. So
Okay.
if they don't pay direct, it goes through the municipality.
Okay. Thank you.
Anybody else? No? Great. Well, not great. You're more than welcome to ask questions. Now is the time. There is a resolution connected to that report, and I'll read it now. That council adopt bylaw 46-25, being a bylaw to assume the Oxford Village well into the municipal infrastructure system. So I'll be looking for a mover and a seconder. Councillor Wilson. And Kristen, here we go. Councillor Stracker-Yan. I knew I'd lose it at some point. And I'll call the question then if there's no further discussion. All in favor? Great. That's carried. There we go. Great. So the next item, next report, I assume is coming from Facilities Superintendent Peshnik, and it regards the pit heat coil replacement.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor and Council. So the second report before you tonight is for the replacement of the snow melting pit heat coil at the North Grenville Municipal Center. The snow dump pit within the arena is a critical asset for the arena operation. The pit allows facility operators to dump the snow inside the facility after ice resurfacing processes rather than driving the ice resurfacer outside to dump the snow. The project deliverables are to replace the failed asset within the calendar year. The project scope is to remove, supply a new heat coil, install and commission the unit. The proposal was sent to local vendors specializing in ammonia refrigeration maintenance and construction. The proposal was open from March 28th to April 28th. Only one proposal was received from Simcoe Refrigeration. Simcoe Refrigeration has extensive knowledge in arena refrigeration and construction. So the financial implications, 80,000 was approved in the 2025 capital budget for this project. Simcoe's original proposal was received at $81,558. After review of the proposal, staff requested a scope change to reduce the overall cost of the project to within budget at $79,487. Currently, we have a service agreement in place with Simcoe Refrigeration. Simcoe is the industry leader for refrigeration, specifically in arena ice. Simcoe has designed and installed the refrigeration equipment at the North Grenville Municipal Center, and Simcoe has since maintained the system since commissioning. I would be happy to answer any questions on this report.
Thank you, Mr. Peshnik. This budget allocation is to replace a failed asset. Did it run its course in terms of the shelf life? I mean, did it live past its due date, or did we get extended life out of it and then it quit, or did it quit early? We have to replace it, and it's a pretty costly item.
Yeah, that's a great question, Deputy Mayor. So through you, the asset, it did live its life. It has a hard life. It has a very unique life that it works. It's constantly in a wet environment, and it's circulating a corrosive solution through it. So it has the worst of both worlds. But we do preventative maintenance on it, regular cleaning, and we do brine testing. So it's a solution that circulates within it to melt the snow, inhibitors, and annual treatments and descaling of it. So we do our best. Unfortunately, the asset does have a hard life.
And how long is that life, generally speaking? I mean, when will we have to replace this new coil?
15 years is a good lifespan for this asset. It again, it has a shorter lifespan, but just due to the nature of the operation, there are no alternatives. That is the industry standard that we're utilizing. It's just that it has a shorter lifespan than one would think.
Okay. So 15 years ideally. Yeah. Councillor Wilson, go ahead.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, to Mr. Peshnik. So assuming that the reverse osmosis works, would that, and the ice surfacer is collecting the snow, would the water or whatever ice melt be less damaging to those to it now that we're having softer water? I don't know, you would think.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, that's a great question. During the ice resurfacing process, anything that is on the ice surface gets picked up. So it's not just snow, it's dirt, debris, any other contaminants from outside potentially that do get picked up. So again, it does have a harsh environment that it lives in. Yes, in theory, we are adding softer water to the process, and our ongoing and proactive measures will hopefully for this new asset will prolong the 15 years.
Any other questions? No? Okay. Again, there's a resolution that we must pass in order to release that $79,000 to Simcoe. And that is that council approve awarding project PRC 25-303, North Grenville Community or North Grenville Municipal Center, heat coil replacement to Simcoe Refrigeration for $79,487.00. So can I get someone, Councillor O'Sullivan, thank you, and a seconder? Councillor Strackerian, thank you. Any discussion on this, further discussion on this item or questions? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? And that's passed. Great, or that's carried, excuse me. We're going to take a short break. How many minutes are we going to be breaking for? 7? 8? 7? I'm sorry? Need a motion to break? No? No? Okay. Anyone second Councillor O'Sullivan's, Councillor Strakoyan, that we break for 7 minutes? And the camera that you just started, I guess we switch off. Thank you very much. Oh, all in favor? I'm calling the vote. Yes, of course. Thank you. See you back in 7 minutes. Great. Thank you, everyone, for hanging in there while we took a quick break. Now in the agenda, we're going to return to some of the items that were on the consent. And the first one is regarding the tax rate bylaw for 2025. And this was pulled by Councillor O'Sullivan, correct? So why don't I just read the motion? We'll get it moved and seconded, and then I'll turn the floor over to you, Councillor O'Sullivan, and you can ask your question. So the relevant, the resolution attached to this report is that Council enacts bylaw 45-25 to adopt the 2025 municipal tax rates and further directs the treasurer to collect taxes in the manner described therein. And as they are levied upon each property class's current value assessment. I need a mover and a seconder for that. You moved, Councillor O'Sullivan, and seconded Councillor Wilson. Thank you. Now, I'll turn the floor over to you, Councillor O'Sullivan. You had some questions related to this?
Okay, thank you. I'm not sure who to direct this question to.
Well, we'll figure it out
Okay.
once we know what the question is.
It's just more of a comment that considering we have a impending postal strike, addressing the postal strike, I know that it has been, there's signs on the door and there has been some communication out about it. But encouraging people to perhaps sign on or sign up for monthly pre-authorized payment for their property taxes would stop the big bills from coming 3 times a year and be easier on the people who are submitting on a regular basis a lower amount. And so what strategy, or has there been a strategy to encourage monthly pre-authorized remittance for property taxes?
Sure. I'll take a stab at that. I seem to recall that the adoption of paying by e-transfer or having pre-authorized debit from an account, I think somewhere north of 70%. So for that remaining 30%, people who walk in a check or pay it in 2 or 3 installments, that percentage is relatively low. But I take your point that we should be promoting the adoption of pre-authorized debits. So that would be something I think we can communicate to our communications department and see if we can't get some social media or an ad in the paper out before the impending postal strike. So that would be something I would refer to the CAO to see if she can action that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
So
Ms. Chenot has something to add.
Okay.
Yeah.
Through your worship, I can say we have had discussions at the senior leadership team about the possible impending postal strike. And I know the comms team does have a thorough strategy for getting notices out and working with folks who can't make those electronic payments. Some of our residents certainly maybe don't have the capabilities or the internet connection to do so. So there is a plan in place should that happen.
okay, thank you.
Great. Okay, super. Thank you. Thank you for that, Councillor O'Sullivan. So we've got a mover, yourself, and seconded by Councillor Wilson. I've read the motion. I'm happy to read it again if that's necessary before I call the vote. No? No further discussion, so I'll call the vote. All in favor? Great. We can now collect taxes. The second item that was pulled, I believe, Councillor Strachian, you pulled the next 2 items. So the first one is the 2024 annual wastewater and sanitary collection system performance report. That was a mouthful for me. And I assume it's Director Finley is going to give us the report. This is for the year 2024, I understand, right? Because we're not through this year yet. Right. Okay.
Thank you. Yes, that is correct, Deputy Mayor. So the first report or the second report, I guess we have for council tonight is to receive the 2024 annual wastewater and sanitary collection system performance report. These are actually two separate reports that were provided in the appendices. What it is the annual wastewater performance report, which is a requirement under the ministry to provide an annual report to council as the owner of the annual operations of the water pollution control plant. And then the second sanitary collection system report is again, through a separate license provided by the ministry, an annual report that we have to provide to council as well on the collection system itself. So that there's two components. There's the sanitary collection system as well as the wastewater treatment component. So two fulsome reports that we have provided. A couple highlights from the report. So from the annual performance wastewater report, which is the water pollution control plant, the average daily influent flow for the 2024 year was about 70% of the rated capacity. There was one exceedance for the effluent limits that were outlined. There was a total of one emergency bypass of our tertiary filters. We did have 47 days where either the rated capacity or the peak flow capacity was exceeded at the plant. We did have a total of 3,200 cubic meters of biosolids that were digested and then utilized for land application under the Nutrients Management Act. So those are some of the highlights of that report. In terms of the collection system, there were 7 sanitary laterals that were replaced. There were 8 sanitary backups within the system. We did clean all 3 of the sanitary siphons that move waste from the south side of town under the Kempville Creek to the north side. And we did reline 5 sections of sanitary main that were approved through council as part of our inflow and infiltration management. So that's the summary of that report, and I'm happy to answer any questions for council.
Sure, thank you. I'll jump in here before the rest of council. So the wastewater report that obviously comes to us, and when I say us, it's not the municipality, but it's the actual council that owns the system and is liable for its performance. And so we rely a great deal on your expertise to keep us out of jail, as it were. What else? Where else does this report go? Does it go to the ministry, and will they flag items? Sure, given that it might cross some threshold of some sort. And has that happened, and have we had any feedback?
Thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor. And yes, it does go to the ministry. It goes to our local office that's actually in Kingston. So we do send it to the ministry. We haven't heard any feedback from it. We have received acknowledgement that they do have it, but that's as far that we have so far.
Do you anticipate any comments coming from the ministry, given your knowledge of the report and the results?
Thank you for the question. Typically not. Just based on history of the report, again, it's an annual submission, and very rarely have we received some feedback from them. So we don't expect, based on the information that's provided, it's typical for what we report annually. There's nothing kind of out of the blue in this report. So no, we don't expect any solid feedback from them.
That's reassuring. Councillor Charvian, go ahead.
Thank you through Deputy Mayor to Director Finley. Thank you very much. The reason I pulled this one and the next item on the agenda were simply to give you the opportunity to say this out loud for public, for anybody who may be watching for the public record, because as the Deputy Mayor has previously stated, these are very important reports and areas that we definitely want to make sure that the residents are aware of. For the report, there are a couple of items: the emergency bypass of the tertiary filters and the 47 days where it was rated at capacity or peak flow capacity was exceeded. For both of those items, could you provide a bit of information as to what could be the cause for those ones, and effectively what the actions were that were taken to remedy them? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and through you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, those events typically take place during high flow events. Usually it's in the spring freshet. So we've got the snow melt. Lately, the way our weather conditions are taking place, we do seem to get a lot of rainfall, intense rainfall. So what happens is our collection system receives more of that rainwater or that inflow and infiltration water that we talk about, more than what the plant was designed to treat properly. So we do have, the ministry provided us, when it was designed, a rated capacity, which is the average daily flow, and a peak flow of what our treatment plant can hydraulically handle before it needs to bypass a tertiary filter. So that's what takes place is there's more influent flow coming to the plant that we can hydraulically deal with, and we do have to bypass a component of the treatment plant. So part of it is that reporting. Again, we do look to our expansion to help identify some of these concerns. We are looking at some equalization tanks as part of the phase 2 portion of the project, and that is purely what their intent is for, is during these high flow events, we will store that influx of water, hold it till timing is right that we can start treating it properly, so that we ensure we don't hydraulically overload the new plant. So we are working towards that. It also becomes a factor as our average day flows increase, and now you've got these intense rainstorms on top of that. So the more as we grow and we have these climate change items happening, we have these events take place. So that's part of our mitigation plan, is the expansion. But yeah, it's the hydraulic overload.
Thank you.
Just to follow up on Councillor Strachan's question, when we talk about emergency bypass, you mentioned tertiary filters. So tertiary is like the third stage. So it's not raw sewage that we're dumping into the creek. It's been partially filtered and partially processed. Is that correct?
Thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor. And yes, that is correct. When we talk about an emergency bypass of our tertiary filters, it is the third treatment process at the plant. So we do see some primary treatment, which gets rid of as much solids that can happen, as well as your secondary clarifiers as well. What the tertiary filters are, almost like a Brita water filter. So it's to catch some of those fine particulate and really refine the water. Of course, that needs time to filter through that filter media sand. And when we have those high flow events, the water can't get through that as quick as needed. So it is set up to bypass that to ensure we can still hydraulically move water. So that's where we're seeing that bypass event. So we do see some treatment through majority of the plant. It also gets UV, a disinfection UV, before we still pump out to the Rideau River. So it isn't going to the Kemptville Creek, we go to the Rideau River.
And from my understanding from past reports, the water that is properly treated is better quality than what we're dumping into the Rideau River. Can you confirm that for me?
We meet our effluent criteria, Deputy Mayor. I don't sample the Rideau, so I don't want to comment on that. But yes, it is in great condition when it's going out.
Super. So are there any other questions? Yes, Councillor O'Sullivan. Go.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, through you to Director Finley. On table 4, and thank you for the thorough explanation. It's a very detailed document to read, but as Councillor Strachan said, very important information. On table 4, in February and August, it said the objective was not met or not achieved for total suspended solids. So could you just tell me what are the consequences of that and how is that resolved, please? So that's one question. Then I have one more.
Yeah, thank you for the question, and through you, Deputy Mayor. So what occurs during those times, as I mentioned, is with our tertiary filter, that's what removes that suspended solid, that finer particulate. So when we have those bypass events or high flow events, unfortunately, we don't capture all that suspended solids because it's not all the flow is traveling through that tertiary filter. So that's what's getting identified when we do our effluent sampling. It is an objective, so it is the way the ministry reviews it purely as that, something that we are looking to aim for. We do have a hard requirement that we do meet, but we always strive to be better than or match the objective. So it is reported, but that's at that point, that's what we do with it at this moment.
Okay, thank you very much. And on page 17, pardon me, 8 sanitary backups. Do you know the reason for those? And was that the same sort of thing with heavy rainfall, et cetera? And yeah, and how were they resolved? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and through you, Deputy Mayor. Typically, this is from the collection system, and what occurs a lot of times, what we see now is as our collection system is getting older, some of the laterals, their structural integrity is failing just over time. So when we have the backups that we identify here, typically is when the material for the lateral has failed or started to fail and created a collapse, or root intrusion has gotten into the line through a crack or item like that and created a blockage. So that's we typically get a call from a homeowner because they're receiving a backup. There is different parts to investigate, whether it's the main itself, the lateral itself, and on the public property or on a private property side. So there's a number of factors that have to be looked into. They do get investigated and rectified depending on what the issue is. So our municipal staff, if it is in the municipal right-of-way, we are responsible for structural integrity. So if there's a backup due to that root intrusion or a collapsed material that we look at, we do go through to replace that. If it is just purely, sometimes it's a blockage that the wrong things have been, non-flushable items have been flushed. So we identify that as well and try and get them unplugged if that's the issue. So it depends on the issue, but yes, they were all identified and rectified.
Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Councillor O'Sullivan. Any other questions from council before I read the motion and get another chance? The council, yeah, I haven't read this. The council receive and accept the 2024 annual wastewater performance report, Kemptville Water Pollution Control Plant, and the 2024 annual performance report, Kemptville Sanitary Collection System, for information. I'll need a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Wilson, Councillor O'Sullivan, thank you. Any further questions or discussion on this motion? Seeing none, I'll call the vote. All in favor? That's passed. Oops, sorry. The next item that we pulled from the consent agenda is the 2024 semi-annual water wastewater update for Q3 and Q4. And I think it's back to you. Thank you, Director Finley.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. So this report, we do provide 2 semi-annual reports to council. Again, it's part of what started this one is under our drinking water quality management system is to try and provide more updates to council. So we try and have one halfway through the year and at the end of the year. So there is a lot of similar information, especially on the wastewater side, to the report we just went through. But we also have some analysis on the drinking water system as well. So we do have, again, another provincial license for a drinking water system. It does require us, not this report, but an annual report that council received earlier this year to be provided to council along with the ministry. And so we provide this as a second half of 2024. From the drinking water side, we did note for the the second half of 2024 that all drinking water samples were collected as required. There was one water main break that was reported. We did have an AWQI, an adverse water quality incident, during this report. However, we resampled and cleared that incident. And we did note that all testing was completed in conformance with our regulations under our drinking water license. From the wastewater side, we went through a number of the events from the previous report, so I won't go over them again. We did note that our water pollution control plant is under an expansion. We identify a number of the works that are taking place there, mainly a lot of concrete and excavation work going on through the headworks and digester building at that time. So that is the update, but I'm happy to answer any questions on this as well.
Great. Thank you, Director Finley. I have a question. This is the third report that you've given us. What's the relationship between all these reports? I'm trying to understand why this one this seems to be dealing with the quality of the water, and the other one deals with the infrastructure. Have I got that right? Help me out here. Why are there three reports, not one?
No problem. Thank you for the question, Deputy Mayor. And it comes back to provincial regulations and their requirements of what they give to us. So each system has its own license, and each license has its own slightly different requirements on the reports that we have to give. So the two previous reports were because the license for the water pollution control plant required an annual report. The consolidated linear infrastructure for the collection system has its own set of requirements that are required to give a separate annual report. And then this update that we are giving you is in terms of our drinking water quality management system, mainly on our water side that says we need to provide updates to council. Since we're doing the water side as a general update, we give the wastewater since they kind of go hand in hand. It's better to give an update on both than just the water side. So that's why we're getting this update. Typically, this semi-annual report would have come a little sooner to council. We did have an extensive drinking water inspection at the end of last year that took our compliance group a little bit more time to work through with the ministry, so we didn't get this report a little sooner to council, but it would have been separated from the other reports. But it's the legislation that's requiring us to give you these different reports.
Okay. I'm gratified that they're all very positive, given that council personally is responsible for the wastewater treatment system. You referred to the compliance group. I know that we've got a wastewater compliance coordinator. Who else is in that group besides yourself?
Thank you for the question, Dad. We do have our one compliance coordinator. He, of course, works with the managing staff, our overall responsible operator, and our two lead operators from an operations side to make sure the testing and the operation side is compliant. And then kind of from an administrative side, there's myself. We do have, our superintendent of environmental services is on leave at the moment, but she would be coordinating that with the compliance coordinator and our water and wastewater tech. But it's our compliance coordinator that is kind of the lead on it, for sure. There's a lot of legislation to keep track of.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Starkey.
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor, to Director Finley. With respect to the adverse water quality incident, you mentioned that there was retesting done and it was cleared upon that retesting. Two questions that I have is the adverse water quality incident during this reporting period was due to NDOGT result. Could you explain what NDOGT is? And is there a particular reason as to why that incident came up in the first place, or what could be possible causes of that? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and through you, Deputy Mayor. So I forget the exact acronym for it, but it's an overgrowth when the sample is reviewed at our third-party lab, which basically means they're seeing a growth number larger than they can count. So it just gets highlighted as an anomaly. So that is brought back, but because it is an adverse water quality item identified, it does go through there. Our typical standard and through the ministry is always flush resample, see if that continues to occur or if it was a one-off because of how sensitive these samples can be. Sometimes it can be something simple as a human error, either at the lab or when we're taking the sample. Sometimes as simple as touching the threads on the bottle that we're sampling improperly can lead to some of these results. So once we do that resampling and things come back clear, we do report that to the ministry and the health unit as well. They review that and determine if there's further action or not. Typically, once they're clear, it's determined as just something that was missed and cleared out. So we move on. If it were to reoccur, then we'd have to move to other factors.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Director Finley. Any other questions or comments? Okay, I will read the related motion, and that is that Council receive the 2024 semi-annual wastewater performance report for Q3 and Q4 for information purposes and to fulfill commitments in the Drinking Water Management Quality Management Standard Operational Plan. Well, I'm going to say that again. Drinking Water Quality Management Standard Operational Plan for the Kemptville Drinking Water System. Sorry, I just enjoyed that run-on title there. So I'm looking for a mover and a seconder. Okay, Councillor Stracher-Yan for the motion and Councillor Wilson to second. Any other comments, questions? None? Seeing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much. And moving on, that completes the reports that we pulled from the consent agenda. Correspondence was another item on the consent agenda that we approved. And so we're moving on to motions and notice of motions. And I understand that there's two. So we'll deal with Councillor Wilson, your notice first of all, and what we do with these notice of motions, we just read it into the record and then we will debate it at the next meeting. Go ahead, Councillor Wilson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Barclay and Chair. The motion, as I read, be it resolved that Council direct Mayor Nancy Peckford to propose new mapping to the United Counties in regards to the LEAR process that responds to significant concerns about the long-term, multi-generational impacts of a change of land designation from rural to agricultural. Further precision in regards to the revised mapping will be provided in advance of the next council meeting.
Thank you, Wilson. Thank you, Councillor Wilson. That's been captured, I assume. Thank you, Ms. Chenot. So that's what happens when you can't make a meeting and you have to leave. And if you do virtually and you have to leave early, that we give you some work to do. So that's interesting. It's the first motion where we've directed the mayor to do something on behalf of council. But anyways, one for the record books, I guess. There's another notice of motion, and I'll look to Councillor Stracher-Yan to read that into the record. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. This notice of motion is concerning responsible growth in opposition to elements of Bill 5. Whereas the Government of Ontario has introduced Bill 5, Protecting Ontario by Unleashing Our Economy Act 2025, which proposes substantial changes to environmental planning policies, including replacing the Endangered Species Act with a new framework that reduces protections for at-risk species and enabling the creation of special economic zones that may override local planning authority and environmental oversight. And whereas the municipality of North Grenville supports increasing housing supply and economic growth, but believes that this must be done in a way that upholds environmental responsibility and maintains the integrity of local planning processes. And whereas Bill 5, as proposed, weakens safeguards for natural heritage systems, threatening biodiversity and diminishing the authority of municipalities to manage growth in accordance with local needs and official plans. And whereas the municipality of North Grenville urges the government of Ontario to recommit to upholding the rights of Indigenous peoples as affirmed in Canadian law through the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples Act, and engage in transparent, inclusive consultations with Indigenous nations and civil society before tabling new development legislation. Therefore, be it resolved that the council for the municipality of North Grenville opposes all provisions in Bill 5 that reduce environmental protections and Ontario's proud legacy of protections of endangered species, that override the rule of law and that nullify municipal planning authority, urges the province of Ontario to support housing and infrastructure development in ways that align with sound environmental planning and wildlife protection, and empower municipalities with appropriate planning tools, and directs a copy of the resolution be sent to the Minister of Energy and Mines, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, Minister of Citizenship and Multiculturalism, the Premier of Ontario, the Association of Municipalities of Ontario, and all Ontario municipalities. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And it's my understanding that both those motions will be brought to council on June 3rd at our next meeting, and they'll be on the agenda. And so we'll get a chance to read those motions again and look for mover and a seconder and debate the motion or amend it. So thank you. The next item on the agenda is miscellaneous or unfinished business, and I understand that Mr. Guy might have some unfinished business that he'd like to address.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Barclay. So I just had a few words. I want to thank council, and I believe Mayor Peckford is no longer with us this evening, for the very kind words upon my retirement from the municipality of North Grenville and just the whole working world. Certainly when I was afforded the opportunity to come to North Grenville in 2012, I saw it as a tremendous opportunity for myself, coming to a growing community, and expectations of, lots of things happening in parks, recreation, and culture. And over the last few days, I've actually written about 2 pages worth of things that we have accomplished in the last 13 years in parks, recreation, and culture, whether it be trails, facility upgrades, new parks, grants that we've received. And I can feel pretty good about that. And I certainly have not done it alone. I've had absolutely tremendous staff, past and present Parks and Rec staff, one sitting right here next to me, who have certainly been all part of the successes that Parks and Rec and Culture have had over the last 13 years, and also the support that I've received from my fellow directors, past and present, and CAOs. So I want to thank all of them, and I certainly want to thank council, all past councils that I've worked with, and certainly the present council. You guys are champions of Parks and Recreation. You provided me with the financial support to accomplish a lot of the great things, not without some challenges, but I think, when I look back at the fruits of labor, the common goal has always been met. And when you see the enjoyment that the community gets out of Parks Recreation and the things that we've done here over the past 13 years, I think we can all feel pretty good about it. So I want to thank you very much. And I have no doubt that moving forward, Parks and Recreation will continue to evolve and do tremendous things. And I'm going to be sitting back. I'm a resident of North Grenville, and I'll be able to enjoy it just that much more. So thank you very much.
Thank you. How did you feel after, besides pride, you must have felt exhausted after writing everything down in, 13 years and 2 pages. It would be quite draining, I would imagine.
It was, and it's only, it's just been in North Grenville, so it didn't accomplish the over 30 years, but, it's been great being here. I came from North Dundas, which is where I grew up, and I was a bit apprehensive leaving North Dundas, even not that it was that far up the road, but it was a tremendous move for myself. So, thanks.
Thank you. I guess we're at the confirmation bylaw. Period of questions from the media and the public. Have we received anything by email? No? Okay. We had public here for a while and they snuck out. I guess there's a hockey game on. Is that possible? Okay. I'll stop and read our confirmation bylaw. That bylaw 48-25 to confirm the proceedings of council at its regular meeting held on May 27th, 2025 be adopted and passed. A mover and a seconder, please. Councillor O'Sullivan and Councillor Strachan. Any debate on this one item? All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Almost at the end. Adjournment. That this regular meeting of council adjourn at 8:10 or 8:11 according to this clock. Could you fix that before you leave, Mr. Guy? We'll call it 8:11. I need a mover and a seconder for that as well. Councillor O'Sullivan, Councillor Wilson, thank you. At 8:11. I'll call the question. All in favor? Carried. Meeting adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.